Welcome to Stage Explorations, where we interview the theater creatives and artists from the theater world, those who perform on stage that the audience sees, and those behind the theater stage that the audience almost never sees. I am a journalist and theater fan, Buell Brown, and today's guest is...
Hi, my name is Christopher Showerman. I play Sir Danvers in the concert version of Jekyll and Hyde.
Hi, my name is Kristen Tucker. I'm playing Emma Carew in Jekyll and Hyde.
Hello, my name is E.L. Losada. I am playing Jekyll and Hyde in P3's concert one-night-only version of Jekyll and Hyde.
Hi, I'm Deborah Robin. I'm playing Lucy in P3 Theater Company's production of Jekyll and Hyde, a one-night-only fundraising event. If you'd like to learn more about this special event, here's an interview.
When and why did you want to be part of the P3 Theater Company Jekyll and Hyde musical and concert event?
When John told me that he was going to be doing Jekyll and Hyde as a fundraising event, this was several months ago, probably back in the spring. And I knew right away if I was available, I wanted to be a part of it. This would be very exciting. I love the show. I've never done it before. I'd only heard music from it, but it's one that I'd always wanted to be a part of, and particularly for an opportunity to work with John and the P3 Theater Company members again. I was very excited. So yes, it was a yes right away.
I was first introduced to the music of Jekyll and Hyde in the late 90s. A friend of mine had heard it. I wasn't even into musicals that much at the time. I was singing opera at the time and a little bit of musical theater, but not a lot. And he's like, wow, there's this relatively new piece. It's Jekyll and Hyde. You got to listen to it. And it was amazing. It's especially the role of Henry Jekyll, which would have this incredible breadth of demand, from having to sing high and beautiful to having to go into this Mr. Hyde character in the course of a phrase where you'd have to embody one character and then another, all with your voice, and the music supports that. And it was mind-blowing at the time to hear this music, and it was very moving. Even to just close your eyes and listen to the music, it was so moving. So it was always in my head that I would love to be a part of Jekyll and Hyde. And I actually this summer had just had a conversation with a friend. He said, well, what would you love to do? And I said, well, one of the things I'd love to do is Jekyll and Hyde. And then almost as if on cue, a few days later, John reaches out and says, oh, by the way, we're doing Jekyll and Hyde, and I'd love to have you be a part of it. I play Sir Danvers in this production, and even though it's not nearly as demanding of a role, which I'm actually grateful for at this time, it's great to just be a part of that storytelling, especially in this concert fashion this time around. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
I heard about it from John. I worked with John once before. We did Jekyll and Hyde together at a different theater company. And we just got along really well. So he told me that he was starting a theater company. This was years ago. And so he reached out a bit ago and asked me if I'd like to be a part of it. And I jumped at the opportunity. He's such a sweet guy, and we have so much fun together. And I was excited to work with him again.
I think it's going to be 20 years ago. John Peterson and I did the original production at Stage Door of Jekyll and Hyde. And it was one I think I hadn't been acting professionally for like not for very long. So it was one of my second leads, I think. And they actually had to recast a lot of the leads and make them younger because I was like 22. But that experience there was something about that production of Jekyll and Hyde with that, and John kind of feels the same way, that it was very special working with our director, Kathy. May she rest in peace. She had so much faith in me personally, and in everything that we could do as a company. And that something about that production felt special. It felt like this heightened experience of what everything that musical theater could and should be. So when John asked me to do the concert, if I would be part of the concert, I was like, absolutely, absolutely. To get to dive into that role again, which is what I consider like the Eva Perón of male characters. Absolutely. Yeah, count me in. I want to see what I can bring to it now, 20 years later, to see what I've discovered. And it's a lot. I've discovered a lot.
Tell us a little more about your character, the beginning of the story, the atmosphere that's about to happen at the beginning of the story with your character.
So the setup, the story takes place in the late 1800s in England, and my character, Sir Danvers, is an aristocrat. He's well off. He's well-to-do. He has a beautiful daughter that is engaged to be married to Dr. Henry Jekyll. And Jekyll is a very well-respected and renowned for his brilliance doctor, and also renowned for his good heart. Like, we all trust him and believe that he wants the best for humanity. So the fact that my daughter is planning on marrying him is a big boon for the family. We all love Henry and his work and his passion to make life better for everyone. But it's, of course, that passion that gets everyone in trouble in the end. So that's sort of the setup going into the story.
So the character that I'm playing in Jekyll and Hyde is Lucy Harris, and she is a prostitute who works at a place called the Red Rat, which is kind of a brothel, kind of a club. And this takes place in late Victorian England, and she's a very wounded young woman. She's a wounded butterfly. She's had to be tough her entire life. She's probably never known what it's like for anyone to love her. And when she meets Dr. Jekyll at the Red Rat Club, he shows her great kindness, which she probably hasn't been shown much of before. And she starts falling in love with him.
My character is Emma. At the beginning of the story, she is engaged to Dr. Jekyll. She is her mother passed away, and her father are really close. And I think that Dr. Jekyll kind of opened a new world for her, and he's someone that she's never met anyone like him before. So you can tell that she's very intrigued by him and very in love with him. So yeah, they're engaged.
The character that I'll be playing is Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, that is, I think, one of the most spectacular arcs written for a man to play. The stakes from the beginning couldn't be higher. He has this emotional investment already because it's his father and his thing, and then as the story progresses, things just get harder and harder for Dr. Jekyll, as Hyde starts to take over of the show. What's interesting for me now, coming at it again, that I've realized that the parallels that I can draw with myself and with other people that I know whose lives kind of end up getting torn apart in this way is that it's kind of I used to think it was allegorical of like good versus evil, but I actually think it's much more basic than that. It's like this like what a lot of people could liken to like addiction, or like some kind of something that takes hold of your life that you lose control over. And that is I've experienced that version of Hyde many times. And at when I did this at 22 or whatever, I had the physical embodiment of what Hyde needed to be, so I can differentiate between Jekyll and who they are. But now, with that understanding of what it means in real life, outside of the context of this musical, what it means in real life to have that struggle, it deepens the character for me, and it deepens my connection to the story and to what I can bring to playing him.
Why is Jekyll and Hyde, the musical and story, so popular? But why is it also relevant for today's society also?
Yeah. I think it kind of has to do with what I was referencing earlier. That first of all, the music is just it's so glorious. The score that Frank Wildhorn wrote for this is just, I just listen. I'm listening to it, and the songs get stuck in my head. The different hooks and the different things. I'm just like, it's such glorious score, and it's like written for singers. The one thing I'm going to be honest, the thing that while I was doing it, that I really resented about Evita was that it didn't feel like it was written for singers. It felt like it was written for instruments, because the place of things was just like so weird. Whereas this score, and not comparing the two composers by any means, because they're both geniuses in their own way, but this score specifically, and most of like Wildhorn's stuff is written for singers, so we can just let the voice do what it does throughout a song naturally. He builds an intensity naturally, and it feels like it's for singers, and I think people appreciate hearing that. And they listen, so they can sit back and listen to these great songs and these great scores. That's just feel, and you get the feeling. So I think that's part of. I think the music is definitely one of the reasons, and two, particularly this day and age, when so many people are having so many struggles, this decision, this like wanting to understand, why are some people so shitty? Why are some people good? You know what I mean? Trying to make peace with that, or at least understanding that everyone's struggling and everyone's having some kind of a thing. I think it resonates. I think it resonates a lot.
I think Jekyll and Hyde is still popular because it's dramatic. It's so melodramatic. It's really fun. It's kind of labeled as a gothic, kind of a rock opera feel to it, even though it's a little bit in the line of Phantom of the Opera. But I think it's just because everything is so intense about this musical. It's everything that we love about melodrama. I mean, the bad guy, Hyde, is really, really bad. And we've got beautiful damsels in distress, and the music is fantastic. And the harmonies are wonderful in this show. So I think it's just one of those chills and thrills kind of shows that's definite escapism that people enjoy watching. And particularly at this time of year, as we're headed into Halloween, I think it's a perfect selection.
I think part of the reason it's so popular is, first of all, the music is just absolutely beautiful. So many of the songs are just beautiful to listen to sing. It's so pretty. And it's also, it's interesting. It has a little dark aspect to it, which I know a lot of people like. Like, I do enjoy like the little bit of the more dark, and there's comedy in it. There's lots of murder, and, it has a lot of aspects that just make it very entertaining. And I think that it just has some things that still, one of the songs just talks about, or a big theme of it is how, everyone is good and evil. And I think that's, very true. Like, we all have good sides and we all have dark sides. And, hopefully most of us are trying to live on the good side. But yeah, I think that is relevant today.
What a fun question. Jekyll and Hyde is relevant today because it unmasks, and very frankly, so in some of the music, there's a great series of songs, all called Facade, which unmask all of us. We all have a part of ourselves that is just more polite to keep hidden. Our id, if you will, that animalistic drive that keeps all of us going. And then we have our civilized front that we like to put out there, and that we like to share the certain mask with each other to go, I'm a good person, or I'm very smart, or I'm interested in the well-being of my community. But all of us have something inside that's a little more animal, and we work to, when we're born, that animalisticness is much more on the outside, where we all want to survive and we'll do whatever it takes to survive, and we cry and we, act out to get our needs met. And as we grow up, and as we hopefully become more civilized and more assimilated into society, we find out that there are different ways to get our needs met in a much more elegant or much more acceptable way. But deep down, we all still have this drive, this self-serving drive at the very core of all of life. The first rule of life and the first rule of nature is self-preservation. And we all have that, whether we want to think of ourselves as altruistic or not. Beneath all of that is this self-preservation, and that is what Jekyll and Hyde is about. It's, you know, on the front, it's this fun story of this character that's chemically come to thin the veil between his animalistic side and his civilized side. But really, we can all relate to it because we all have these competing drives within us. And it gets back to the age-old question, you know, which you have these two wolves inside of you, and one is for good and one is for evil, and which wolf will win? And the answer is, of course, well, the one that you feed, the one that you support. And so Mr. Hyde feeds the more savage wolf.
What do you think is the underlying message in Jekyll and Hyde?
Yeah, the underlying message to me is, that, you know, you have this person that's trying so hard to do good, and in trying to do that, he just becomes this monster, and then the evil takes over. But each person just has this internal struggle with trying to do good in this world when all of these things are happening, and sometimes it becomes difficult to do that. So yeah, just each person and their inner struggles.
The underlying message in Jekyll and Hyde is that none of us is beyond the dark side. We all have a dark side. And it's easy to point at Dr. Jekyll and go, oh, look, he's the monster. But if you really sit with the story, you'll realize we're all that monster. He's just the one that maybe in one way, he might even be the more altruistic of all of us because he's the most honest. He puts it out there and says, I am this monster, whereas the rest of us hide it. The rest of us keep it hidden. So it's acknowledging your dark side.
I think it's relevant today and also some of the underlying messages in it are that there's a shadow side to all of us. So Hyde is obviously the antagonist in the story. He's evil. But I also think he showcases the potential within all of us to choose which side we're going to feed the most. Which wolf do you feed? The good wolf or the bad wolf? How much energy are you going to give it? We all have the potential within us to do great harm to ourselves and to others. And I think every day we have to make a choice about which one of us we're going to be and bring into the world and how much good we want to create in the world. So none of us are immune. So in that way, I think, yes, of course, we all have a little Jekyll and Hyde, don't we?
You know, it's funny because it does end as a tragedy, doesn't it? I don't know. I think that the search, like the passion that Jekyll has for finding the truth and getting to the bottom of the thing, and like not really truly understanding, that is always worth the fight. It's always worth going for. You know what I mean? It's always worth the journey. And you know, if you sometimes some people do get lost along the way and they lose that battle with addiction, they lose that battle with whatever it was that was ruling, but it's still you have to try, you have to fight for it, you have to look for that thing, you have to find and fight for your moment, and saying this, so you can sing, this is the moment, this is what I'm going to go for, you know. I think that's the theme that people should take home.
And why is Jekyll and Hyde such a fan favorite?
Jekyll and Hyde is a fan favorite because it's kind of unique in the sense that it's a horror musical. It is a dark, gothic story, and there's not a lot of that in musical theater. So it tends to stand out, and there's not much else that can compete, and it does it in such a magnificent way. The music is beautiful and complicated and breathtaking and technically incredibly demanding. And when executed well, it's a magnificent piece that stays with you a long time.
I think people love Jekyll and Hyde still, again, because it's so intense. It's a dark fairy tale, which we all love. And most fairy tales originally, when they were originally written before the Brothers Grimm got a hold of them, were dark. They were cautionary tales. They were scary tales. Don't go out after dark, and beware of the witch in the forest that wants to eat you. So this one is along the lines of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein too. It's kind of got this gothic horror melodrama about it that we love. And it's set in Victorian England, but also it's a little anachronistic because, of course, the music is poppy. And I think that's probably why people are so drawn to it. It's just so dark and eerie and mysterious and chilling and thrilling.
I think it's one of the favorites because to me, it's the music is beautiful, and I don't think there's a lot of very glitzy and glamoury shows, which I love. I love all that kind of stuff, and very happy shows. And then this one is just very dark, and it has like a dark sense to it. And I don't think there's as many of those. So I think people are kind of like interested in stuff like that, and the story is just very interesting.
I think it's those songs, these universal themes, those sweeping melodies, the singing. I think it'll never not play. I think. I was actually thinking about this. I would love to find a way to film it, to make it a feature, because why not? It's so beautiful. We have to find a way to do that, because it's too good to not, putting it out there to the universe.
I like that idea. What are you looking forward when you are performing live in the church, Jekyll Hyde the concert?
Well, the things that I'm looking forward to when we're actually performing in the space, because we haven't rehearsed at this point. At this point, while we're doing this interview, we haven't yet rehearsed in the space in the church. And one of the things that helps to make that experience is the actual space that we're in. So one of the things that I'm looking very forward to are the acoustics of the room and the feel of the room. And because Jekyll and Hyde is such a big idea and a big musical, and the music itself is big, to have a big space to fill with that music it's such a great playground to tell this story. So that space alone, and especially that we're in a church, and this is a Gothic story, it seems to fit perfectly to put it in a church. And then, of course, adding in, as I've said before, the element of the audience makes every performance that much more rewarding.
I'm most looking forward to two things: the actual experience itself, when everything magically comes together with the costumes and the lighting and the cast, because especially the cast will be rehearsing separately to a large degree, because we live in different parts of Los Angeles. So a lot of the cast and ensemble are rehearsing in Long Beach, and some of us are rehearsing in Los Angeles. So we'll actually not be separated by distance anymore. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone and working with everyone. And the second thing would be, the most important ingredient is having an audience there. It wouldn't happen without them. So I'm looking forward to having friends and family and meeting new people who are maybe seeing a P3 production for the very first time, maybe seeing Jekyll and Hyde for the very first time. So I'm really excited to see the two elements combine.
Well, one of the things that I'm looking to is to forget the fact that I'm in a church when I sing twice with Satan himself by my side. That's what I'm looking to, just forget that I'm in a church singing that. Just kind of like, let that go. But honestly, I'm looking to connect with that audience. I want that audience to feel like they really felt, not just saw Jekyll and Hyde, felt Jekyll and Hyde within their bones, within their soul, like felt that story. Not just through me, but through everybody, through all of the performers, because there's some phenomenally talented performers in this production. So that is what I'm really looking forward, is to connect with that audience in a way that they will never forget.
What I'm looking forward to, first of all, is hearing some of the people sing. I haven't heard them all sing yet, so that'll be fun. And the thing that I look forward to the most in this show is the song In His Eyes. I just love that song. I love hearing it. I love singing it. And I'm really excited to work with some of these actors and actresses that just, I mean, everyone I've heard so far is just so phenomenal. So it's fun to kind of, you know, I'm not huge in the theater world, so it's kind of fun to like meet new people and just learn from them.
I know this is kind of like asking who's your favorite cousin or niece, but what is your favorite? What is your favorite part or song in Jekyll and Hyde?
You know, my favorite song in Jekyll and Hyde is "I Need to Know," because it talks about the passion before things go wrong, and it shows the crazy that is required to break new ground in the face of naysayers and doubters, and sometimes you do have to throw caution to the wind. So I love that song, "I Need to Know," that Henry Jekyll sings about discovering these secrets that have so far been hidden from humanity.
That's a good one. I love I Need to Know. I love that song. I love the energy behind it. I love his urgency and his wish to, he just wants so badly to make the world a better place, and he just thinks that he can do it. And no one is supporting him, but like in his mind, he knows he can do it, and he knows he needs to find a way to to help his father in a lot of the scripts, but I know a lot of the scripts are different.
Oh, that's a good question. I think my favorite song in Jekyll and Hyde is a duet called In His Eyes. And it's a duet that my character Lucy sings with Emma. Emma is the ingenue love interest of Dr. Jekyll. She's his fiance. And Emma and Lucy sing a song about Jekyll, and it's beautiful, beautiful song. That's probably my favorite one.
You know, the thing that I look forward to the most in this show is the song In His Eyes. I just love that song. I love hearing it. I love singing it. In His Eyes is just the music and the melody to me is just, it's so touching. And I love the two different angles that that the two women are coming from. You know, you have Emma, who is engaged to Jekyll and she knows him, but all of a sudden she's seeing this person that she doesn't know and she feels like she's losing him. And, you know, part of her is like wondering if, you know, if they can get back what they had. And then you have Lucy, who's lived a really hard life, and Jekyll's the first person that's shown her this kindness and tenderness. And they're just both yearning for this person. And I just think that the way that the vocal lines cross over is just so stunning.
Oh, that is a hard one. Oh man. It keeps going back and forth. Sometimes it's stuff that I sing, that I get to sing, and sometimes it's stuff that I just hear because the hook is so good. Oh man, I don't know. I think it's like at any given moment.
Well, tell me.
Yesterday was In His Eyes.
Well, repeat that again. Tell me the two you love the most.
Oh, man. Okay. This is so hard. Okay, In His Eyes is just so, it's such a beautiful song. But I also love the confrontation. The confrontation is such a, for me, it's the epitome. It's like all of the work, the acting, and the exercise, and everything coming together, culminating into one thing, one performance. And it also for me, it's like, if I get through that, I'm done. I've gotten through the whole show. The confrontation is the last big 11 o'clock number, and if I get through that, I'm done. But I love it. I love because it pushes me. You know, it's what makes it feel like the Eva Peron of male characters. It's like, just when you think you're done, you still have to give one last, you know. So maybe that, I don't know. There's so many. Honestly, there's so many. I could keep going on. Like now somehow I've got to get back to the place where my journey started. That's such a beautiful melody. That melody kept getting stuck in my head as I was started listening to the soundtrack again. Just kept getting stuck in my head over and over again. They're so passionate and so fun to sing and so like satisfying, you know. That's one. I don't know. I can't. Okay, well, those are my top three.
Very important question. Why must the theater community, Jekyll and Hyde fans, music lovers come see the P3 Theater Jekyll and Hyde in concert one night event?
Well, first of all, it's just one night. So this is an absolute golden opportunity to come and see a bunch of incredibly talented people come together and create this beautiful, beautiful work of art that's going to be Jekyll and Hyde. So I think the energy in the room will just be off the charts. It will be a very special night with a lot of wonderful, kind, dedicated, and talented and experienced people pouring their energy and talent into this one production. So I think it's going to be a very magical and thrilling evening.
Because you will never forget it. You will never forget it. It's going to be an experience you will never forget. That's all I can say.
I definitely think people should come because it's super important to support local theater, and John is such a great guy in supporting his theater, but also it's just so far, everyone is just so fantastic that I've seen. I think it's just going to be a great night of really beautiful singing and music, and I think it'll just be a really fun night.
The reason that you need to come and see Jekyll and Hyde is that it's a one night only event. And so therefore you get one chance to see this unique iteration of this really special piece. There's a lot of talent that John has put together, and it will only be together for this one performance of Jekyll and Hyde in this concert version. So it's your one opportunity to get to hear EL playing Jekyll, and to get to hear what John has put together with his musical direction, Christy, with her directing on it, and the rest of us that are filling out the cast. It's your one chance to get to hear this special amalgamation of talent on this amazing piece of music.
Hi, I'm Deborah Robin. I'm playing Lucy in P3 Theater Company's one night only fundraiser event for Jekyll and Hyde, the musical. It's going to be an incredible, inspirational, inspiring, passionate night. It's going to have some of the most talented actors in the Los Angeles area pouring their hearts and souls and voices into this production. It's going to be absolutely magical and thrilling, and I can't wait to see you there.
My name is E.L. Losada. I am playing Jekyll and Hyde in P3's concert version of Jekyll and Hyde. And I just want to say that this is going to be a one-of-a-kind experience that you do not want to miss. Be there.
Hi, I'm Kristen Tucker. I'm playing Emma Carew in Jekyll and Hyde, and I think you should all buy tickets to come see Jekyll and Hyde the musical. It's going to be a wonderful night of beautiful singing and acting and a really exciting, fun story that we're going to tell for you.
Hi, I'm Christopher Showerman. I play Sir Danvers in the P3 production of Jekyll and Hyde, the concert version, on October 26th in Long Beach. Come to see it because it's your only chance to see it. We'll see you
at the theater.
Thank you for listening or watching this podcast episode of Stage Explorations. To learn more about the theater creative and more theater creatives and artists on Stage Explorations, go to www.stageexplorations.com. Once again, that is www.stageexplorations.com. There is no space between stage and explorations. You may find more videos, podcasts, and information about this theater creative and other theater creatives and artists on Stage Explorations YouTube channel. Looking forward to seeing you in the theater.
To learn more, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3theatre.biz. To learn more, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3theatre.biz.
Thank you for listening or watching this podcast episode of Stage Explorations. To learn more about the theater creative and more theater creatives and artists on Stage Explorations, go to www.stageexplorations.com. Once again, that is www.stageexplorations.com. There is no space between stage and explorations. You may find more videos, podcasts, and information about this theater creative and other theater creatives and artists on Stage Explorations YouTube channel. Looking forward to seeing you in the theater.
To learn more, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3theatre.biz. To learn more, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3theatre.biz.